1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, testing. Yes, we're on Wellness Week Live. What's up, everybody? Magnus, hello. PhD in biochem, me, DJ. Okay, I'm a PhD in, I don't know, music. So, anyway.
Awesome dude.
Oh, Magnus, how are you, by the way?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Okay, so today's topics, everybody, here we go. It's chock full. It's you. All right. So, what is your favorite charity, people? Because we hear everyone say, "Hey, I make all this money. I drive this car. I live here. I got these fancy shoes." Oh, that's great. But do you give to charity? Do you give money to charity? I'm more impressed with that. Do you give your time? That's more impressive than what car you drive. I don't care what car you drive. You're not in a good press. Okay. Second, what makes a good man? Look, whether you're married or not. But you hear people say, "Oh, he's a good guy," or or women or men say, "I want to find a good man," or whatever, right? So, what makes a good man? So, we'll discuss that, and then the advantages and disadvantages of having advantages and disadvantages. Because you hear people say, "Oh, you're so lucky, you're a billionaire. It's very easy for you." I would say sometimes when things are given to you, that's a disadvantage, and sometimes when you're poor, that could be an advantage. It all depends on how you see things in life. And last but not least, what is an incel? I didn't know this till yesterday. Magnus and I just found this out. Okay, so let's get right into it, folks. By the way, we're just talking friends, not giving any medical advice, no legal advice, just conversation with two friends. Okay, and let me get this out of the way too. Don't forget, like and subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your mom, tell your dad. Come on, people. You know how many? We got a lot right now. We need more. Okay. Anyways, so, okay, Magnus, what is one of, you don't have to say number one, but what is one of your favorite charities that you typically gravitate towards or donate money or time to? Go ahead.
So a couple of things that one, like I should say, basically, like there are two things that I usually look at, like when I look into it. First of all, it's like, who are they helping? I'm a very soft guy for kids. Like I like kids in need are always like a good way of helping. And then another thing is since my dad passed away in cancer and my mom is a cancer survivor, and so many people are getting affected by this. And we need to say it. It's basically a group of diseases. It's not just cancer. There's so many different types of cancers. So we need to have so much research about it. And even if we're getting, they're getting a lot of money, research money and things like that, we still need more, because it's, again, we're getting better, but we need to get even beyond that. We need to be able to find ways of finding a cure, or at least be able to control it in some way or form. So that are two things that I kind of look at when I'm like interested in trying to support. But there's so many other ones, like environment and things like that too, that is close to my heart. And
right.
Like for me, like coaching and playing football, I mean, I would like be able to do that too, and help kids in that way,
right.
like team sports. I mean, like certain areas, when we're talking about social economical standpoint, needs more help than other. I mean, like if you're going to a high school in Hollywood Hills, I mean, they don't have maybe money issues, but they could have many other issues too. So I'm not trying to all kids, we're talking about a football team. There's going to be at least a couple of kids that have issues that you can help them on, and not just coaching wise. You can actually be a mentor and a support person, like an adult that listen to them.
There's so many good charities, and like you're alluding to, you can give time or you can give money. Money and time is equal. So if you don't have money, you can give time. I'm a big proponent, love charities. I'm going to second what you're saying. I mean, when I give to charity, I feel like a billionaire. I get more joy out of giving my time or money to a charity than any kind of pair of shoes I can get or any vacation. I am much happier giving my time or my money to a charity than going on vacation. If that, honestly, I'm not saying vacations are bad. We need vacations. God bless vacations. I'm not saying that, but I think we're in a world where it's just me. Look at my vacation. Look at my car. Look at my house. Me. Look at my degree. Me. Do you do anything for anybody else? Yeah. I take care of my kids. You're supposed to take care of your kids. That's the law. I'm saying outside of that, folks, so yeah, I love St. Jude's. I do every year a pizza charity where I buy pizza for everybody. At a local restaurant, and all they got to do is donate how much they want to St. Jude's. And so that's for cancer charity.
Yeah.
And I like donating blood. I usually donate blood 4 times a year. And I have other charities that I'm associated with. I'm not going to go into that because they may be, let's just say this, they're social, they're socially conscious charities that help people who are in the minority of some way or form or shape. And I didn't always donate to those charities, but as I've gotten older and I've opened my mind a little bit and I've put my foot in my mouth a little bit and I've been educated by people, I was like, yeah, you know what? I am wrong and I need to be a big boy. And, so anyways, I'm going to leave it at that. But,
yeah, but looking at charity, I think that you mentioned something that is really, really important, that the feeling of helping someone, how beneficial that is. And I'm talking about on so many levels, not just like physically, but like mentally and emotionally. And people have a tendency to forget that one of the kind of most rewarding things a human being can actually feel is helping someone. And I mean, it could be like helping someone buy groceries, or like just having a conversation with someone, or like I usually like help my neighbor, the older gentleman, that like sometimes he's like, well, like I'm not as strong or like physically fit as I used to be when I was in my 20s, 30s, or 40s. And I'm like, well, it's the least you can say. I mean, like I'm not a kid anymore either, but at least I'm younger and
right.
have a little bit more strength than him. So like that, and that's what it's all about too. It's like building a tribe and community around yourself. Like
yeah,
your neighbors. I mean, we used to be so much closer with our neighbors than like when we didn't have like, I'm talking about basically my grandma and her generation. Right. Is that they were super close because there was not like
social media, cell phones,
channels on TV. Like you might have a radio, like you listen, like you read books, you socialized out playing, you're talking to your neighbors. Right. Everybody knew everybody. You could go over, hey, I need 2 eggs. Okay, no problems. Here are 2 eggs. Do you need something else? Those things.
Though, I got to say, that's a little tricky because, yes, you're right. But I also think that maybe there is a dichotomy here in the sense of, I can tell you when I do that pizza charity, I'm only able to really do it because of Facebook. When I do other charities, like this Christmas, we donated over $1,000 in money to underprivileged youth and families in our area here in New Jersey. That was only made possible by Facebook groups. Could I have done it before Facebook? Sure, but it would have been harder. So I think
100%. I'm not saying that you should bash technology. I mean, like earlier on, you would probably have to have like posters, signs, and tape those up around the neighborhood, or have someone like a hand out flyers and things like that. I'm not talking about that we should not use technology. I'm just saying like there's nothing wrong about befriending your neighbors as long as they're good people. That's kind of more what I was talking about. I mean, like I'm 100% for using social media and technology to spread your word and like affect and have a positive effect on more people. 100%. And that's how people, a lot of people communicate nowadays.
Right. No, I hear you. Yeah, and it's funny. I wish people would talk more about the charities they do than the new sneakers they got or the new car they got. Like if you're gonna brag about something, honestly, like I don't know. I know technically everybody gives money. I understand you put the money in the basket at church. Look at you, you're great. But I mean, like my pastor at my church and other people have said, we should give till it hurts, like, and I'm not saying go homeless, but, I just, anyways, I try to give till it hurts.
Looking at it from another perspective too, is like charity. I mean, if you own a company or things like that, or a company, they can actually do tax write-offs on it too. So, I mean, like that, sorry, like if you have the money, that's a win-win situation. I mean, if you're able to put a pot aside for charity, you're not doing yourself. The people affect you. I mean, and taxes. I mean, it's a lot of positive things there too. And I'm not trying to say cheat the IRS and the tax system. No. And you said you can do that, and
Right,
support, like something that you, and I think that's something that you can promote as a company owner or as a company too. Like we give X amount, like percentage of a revenue or whatnot to this charity, and because it also builds a community, it also shows you what your company stands
right,
for instance.
Yeah, I mean, you can give your time also, so there's no excuse. Oh, I don't have the money. Well, they can give your time. Like, there's no excuse.
No. Like I get it, and it's like I understand. Like sometimes you don't have the money, you don't have the time, or anything like that. It's fine, but this doesn't have to be a black or white question. It's like you can do it when you have time or when you have the finances, and it's fine too. It's like you don't need to feel like you have to do it constantly. Once in a while, like give your time, whatever. That's perfectly fine too. Don't like, even like this is the same thing when I say with training. Like don't think that you need to have an hour and a half to be at the gym. Like 5 minutes and 10 minutes, it's better than nothing. And that's same thing when we're looking at this. Like you can do like whatever you have to give. It's something at least.
100%. Okay, so next topic. What makes a good man? Because listen, you hear people say, "Hey, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. Hey, he's a good guy." Or I'm on the dating scene, and I hear women or whatever, whoever you're dating, whatever person you're interested in, looking for a good man, right? Well, good man, good. Well, all right, okay, well, good man. Okay, okay. If I'm not an axe murderer and I have a job, am I a good man? I don't know. Like, well, that's like when people say, I love a sense of humor. Are we talking Andrew Dice Clay or are we talking Mickey Mouse? Like sense of humor, good man. Like I don't know. So I said to myself, what the hell makes a good man? In my opinion, so we can go back and forth here, what you think and I think, but I think
I think this is super, super interesting because it actually comes down to like a problem that most people have, and that's a communication issue. Like it's saying something, like I like food. Okay, I mean, most people need to at least eat something to survive. It's like, what? I mean, what is it that you like? Do you like Italian food? Do you like Chinese food? Do you like African food? Do you like vegetables? I mean, like especially when it comes to like dating and things like that. Like you have to be a little bit more descriptive.
Right.
What you're looking for.
Right. So. Here's what I thought. When in my case, I'm dating women. What do I think? So I would say, look, women are looking for a good man, meaning, okay, you have a job. You're not a bum. You are loyal. You're faithful. You don't. Well, yeah, probably you don't do drugs, although some women might do. But you don't do drugs. You're not abusive. You are humble. You are someone who is flexible.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what they mean, but because the basics are easy, right? Have a job, don't be a criminal. But what about, minutiae? Because I have a friend, and I'm not going to name names, but this guy was a multi-millionaire, okay? And he was, he put all the kids through college, whatever the wife wanted, she got, okay? He was loyal, faithful. Sounds good, right? Dude was never home, okay? Ever, always at work. You never really spent time with the family, period, So I don't know, is that a good man? I mean, like I said, I didn't break any laws, didn't cheat, didn't do drugs, but he could always be found at his business, but he just was never home, never went on vacations, never came home for dinner. Nobody wanted for not economically the best house, best schools, best education, put the kids through college. But I don't know, is that a good man? I guess.
Again, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? For maybe some a certain kind of person, he might be super attractive and the perfect fit. Because for instance, if he has if he would have a wife or a girlfriend that also was running a company, like always time, like super busy, and like that might be a perfect fit because both of them are super busy, and then the little time that they have, they want to spend together or maybe go on a vacation once in a while, that might work. But I mean, I think like, again, a person needs to know a little bit, or at least know what they don't want, like when we're looking at a partner, like what I see is like a good man. I mean, it's like, why should we talk just about men? I mean, what's a good person? You know, like this shouldn't just be like a good man or a good woman or whatnot. You know, I mean, like, are you a good person or not? You know, like ask yourself, will there be any people at your funeral, right? And what would they say?
Right.
That's something. I mean, if you know that you have a positive effect on a lot of people's lives, that would probably be a lot of people going to your funeral, right? But hopefully we don't have to go that far to kind of think. But it's just like kind of a mind kind of game that you can, like a situation you can talk about. I mean, like when it comes down to it, it's like I think loyalty is important. I think honesty is important. I also think like being kind, but like, and this is something that a lot of people have a hard time. A kind person is not a pushover. They think that he's a nice guy. He's like he's kind. He's behaving and things like that, or in a social environment and things like that. But like, again, and this has happened to me because like I'm trying to be nice towards people, and then people think that my kindness or being nice is that I'm like can be abused in some way or form, and then they get surprised when I tell them to, like, this is enough. Why are you treating me bad? Why do you think you can abuse me in some way or form just because I'm nice? You know,
you're too nice, Magnus. You're too nice. You're too nice.
Yeah, no, but it's the same thing. Like don't, like, if you treat people poorly and they start being nice, sooner or later they're gonna snap, and you are not gonna be in a good relationship with that person. You know. So that's kind of what I'm pointing out with. I hear you. But again, it's like there's so many things. I mean, I think that like it comes down to like being a good person is like maybe like that you're also a little bit like multifaceted. So you can do like several things. I mean, yes, you can cook, you can clean, you can also fix the tires on the car, like change oil on your car. Like whatever, you know. I mean, I'm not saying that you have to be be able to do brain surgery with a fork and a dull knife, you know. But it's,
you know what's funny though. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Say, you know, I agree with everything you're saying, and I've been around the block a few times. You know what I'm saying, Magnus? So you could be the best guy in the world. You could be the best woman in the world. But unfortunately, that's also not going to mean that you're going to have a good relationship, because, you know, relationships are so layered and so complex. Yeah, I mean, you could be a great girl, you could be a great guy, and the relationship could still not work because, you know, now you're dealing with personalities and demeanors and sensibilities and, you know, political views. So it's so crazy, you know, relationships, you know. But anyways, so
I mean, it's like looking at it. There's so many moving pieces of being a good person. It's the same thing, like, because like we can go out and then like say the exact same thing, and like 10 people might think we're awesome, and 10 people might think we're the worst people in the world. It depends on how they're feeling at the moment too, and like how we pronounce certain things.
Right.
And so a lot when it comes to communication, it's not like what you're saying, it's what the other people is actually hearing.
It's like art. It's in the eye of the beholder, you know.
Yeah. No. Right. So when it comes to it, like finishing off, like it's, some people might find you're the best, like I said, best person in the world. Other people might find you're the worst. And like, remember this, you can't satisfy every single person.
It's life.
Yeah.
And that's what makes the special people special. It's rare.
Yes.
Person. Yeah. Anyways, okay, moving on. So what is an advantage in life and what is a disadvantage? And that might seem like a crazy question. What are you talking about? Hey, you got an advantage. You got money. You're the right color, creed, the right. It makes me laugh because, without getting into the weeds here, but you hear people say, you know, what do you call it? You have, you know, privilege is relative. Okay. Because I would say if you're standing on American soil, you have privilege over about 2 billion people. No one talks about that though. Yes. You know, or
more than that.
Right. You know what I'm saying? You know, or obviously, yes, color and money and, stat, that's true, no doubt. But it always makes me laugh because it's like, what if I told you, the viewer, you have privilege over 2 billion people by just standing on American soil? So, no one wants to talk about that though. Okay, moving on. So my point more for everyday life is, you hear people say, oh, they got money and their father or their mother gave them money and that's why they can do this or that. And I often say that could be an advantage or it could be a disadvantage, because I know a lot of people who are super, super successful. And the only real reason why they became super successful is because they had shit. They had nothing. They had that fire in their belly. They were going to, do it or die. And sometimes when you have a cushy, nice, lifestyle and everything's done for you, you don't got that eye of the tiger. You don't got that fire. Or maybe because you do have the money and the foofy, shushy, mommy and daddy gave it to you, maybe that is an advantage. Maybe it's not. Maybe being piss poor is a disadvantage for many. Yes. So it's not so clear cut. The richest Americans in American history, the Vanderbilts, the Rockefellers, these men came from nothing, from the dirt, from zero. Now their kids obviously had the advantage, but even someone like Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, these men were just middle class. They came from relative, they didn't come from a billionaire family or a millionaire family. Steve Jobs, he was an adopted, his biological dad wanted to throw him away. What do you call it? Jeff Bezos, another one, adopted. Bezos is not his real last name. He was thrown away. His father didn't want anything to do with him. He grew up working on a farm. Jeff Bezos, so, I mean, I don't know. I think there's something to be said for, and again, obviously people are poor, they're hurting, you want to help, no doubt. But I'm just saying sometimes advantages and disadvantages. I did a triathlon once a while back, and the second dude out of the lake, okay, out of a 500-person triathlon, the second guy to come out of the swim had no leg. He was on one leg. I'm like, he's a second guy? I was like, so, you best believe that dude was like, I'm going to win this thing. So, but now if he had the second leg, I don't know, maybe he wouldn't have been. But sometimes in life, you get that chip on your shoulder, and that's what you need to just, and I'm not even necessarily talking about money per se, but success in friends, success in love, success in health. Maybe you, God forbid, got diagnosed with a bad disease, and now you don't take your life for granted. You know what? I'm going to turn this crap around. So
Anthony, I think you see the same way when we're talking about like lotto winners.
Right.
Most lotto winners go bankrupt, have no money like fairly quickly because they don't really have that understanding on the value of money. They didn't put in time and effort into actually gaining it. So that's why they lose it really, really quickly, like poor investments or buying like a bunch of stupid materialistic stuff, So I think it has a little bit with that, one thing that seldom can be taken away from you, is your intellect and your education. But again, do you need an education to become successful? Absolutely not. And it's been proven over and over again that sometimes we're talking about it, having too much of an education is not beneficial for you.
Right. And by the way, I'm not talking again about money, because success, you might be successful in the sense of, right, like you said, you got a good job and you live within your means and you have a nice little life. That's a smashing success. So it's not about, if you're not a billionaire, you're a loser. Success can be, again, hey, you're working 2 part-time jobs, you're taking care of your bills, you got a little extra left over, you're happy with your life, you're a smashing success, So it's anyways. So, but yeah, I mean,
but it's again, like I was listening to an interview on an NFL player. I'm not gonna mention the person's name or anything like that, but he said something interesting, like where he grew up, and this is like, you see this with a lot of pro athletes. They're coming from nothing. So they're either 2 ways of going, and it's like the criminal got like gang activity and things like that, and usually you end up like getting locked up or losing your life, or sports. So and then I think that also has to do like do you have there parent figures around you? Do you have mentors, things like that could actually lead you? Because you're so entrapped by your norms, like your surroundings. You might not even know better. Yeah, you know that there's another way, but you can't get there because you don't have the cards. I mean, it's like trying to play a card game when you have one card and the other guys are sitting with 5 cards, you know?
Right. Well, then that's like also people again, right? Or people who really study hard or work real hard. You know,
Yeah.
Is like the basketball player, the baseball player, the football player. They're putting in that time, that effort. They're not sitting there eating bonbons, watching Netflix. So whatever it is, they're all in on it. They're doing it 100%. And when I coach these kids in tennis, I tell them, listen, tennis lessons are great, but you need to play with somebody every day. You know what I mean? You have to have people to play with. It's like learning a language. You can learn Spanish, but if you have nobody to talk to, you need to. Hence why these people become very successful, because they're studying or they're playing or they're doing something every day to nurture that, you know. And it's not just genetics. I mean, you know, people forget. I mean, they're practicing, they're studying, or they're trying, they're working their craft, or they're working hard, and every single day they're all in. They're not going on these vacations, they're not watching Netflix, they're all in on it, you know. So anyways, but okay.
But it's the same thing. Like you saw that, like typically we can talk about the 2 of the craziest sports people in the world that left nothing to chance. I mean, Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan, you know. Right. And say, of course they have talent. I mean, it's like, again, like,
of course, yes.
I'm 5'10". I'm not gonna be able to. And my vertical is like 2 fucking inches.
Right.
So I'm not gonna be able to become a basketball player. And I can shoot as many free throws and play basketball. I'm still not gonna grow.
But they still have to work at it.
But I can definitely be better. Like, I can definitely become better at by putting in time and shooting and become a better basketball player by doing it. I'm not gonna go pro, but I can be fairly good.
And listen, LeBron James didn't just wake up and go to the NBA. I mean, people forget this guy puts in thousands of hours even now in practice, but people only see the result. Okay, so that's that. Anything else you want to add before we move on to the last topic?
Like this again, like a more complex question than we probably were able to converse about today. But I think that I would love to hear more what people are thinking about this, you know, like what would the advantages being in back and forth? I mean, the drive and things like that. Like, it's interesting. Like, are you a success story yourself? We would love to hear it, you know?
Yeah, 100%. Okay, cool. Yeah. So, you know, moving on. So I heard this term, and I told you off camera. I think 2 days ago, I was listening to a interview on the radio, and they were talking about like these shooters and these people who go on to do horrific crimes, and they were saying, the psychologist in passing, she just said, oh, they're incels, and we have to do gun reform. I'm like, stop. What did she say? Incel? I mean, what is that? It's like a cellular damage or something. So I looked it up. I was like, what the hell is incel? So incel is involuntarily celibate, meaning that usually it's men that, you know, they can't get, you know what. And I said, wow. And so she was kind of linking this to these lone wolves, these loners who are angry, who are mad at society somehow, some way, unjustly, of course. But and she was linking it to the lack of basically romance, you know, and I'm being polite about this. But I thought to myself, well, it is some of that, but I think it's also that their lack of community, their lack of friendships, so it's not just incel. I think incel means a broader thing in my mind, is that not only are you involuntarily celibate, a lot of these young men, they were saying on these chat rooms and stuff, they feel they're ugly, this and that. But I think to myself, I think it's more than that. I think they have no friends. They have very little family, or their family are disconnected with, you know. And so this is really a larger type of incel. It's not just that they're not getting the girl or getting the guy, but it's, you know, they don't have community, you know, and they're on these forums, but that's not community. You know, community is face to face, breaking bread, going out for a coffee, you know, commiserating together. And this is where these incels, because they were saying a lot of these shooters are exhibiting that, or they link them to these online chat rooms, these incel chat rooms. And so obviously it doesn't give you an excuse to do crimes, but they're trying to understand the cancer, so to speak. And the psychologist, I thought, in my opinion, made it a little too simplistic. She was just saying, well, because they can't have sex, they're going crazy. And I'm like, I don't, you know, I think it's more than that. I think it's because they can't have community. They can't have friends, or they don't want to, or they're not trying enough, or trying a different way, or whatever. Because anyways, but evidently this is an epidemic, another epidemic that's going on below in these chat rooms and the internet, this thing called incels. So when you hear the word incels, it means it's an acronym for involuntarily celibate. Guys who feel that they're too ugly, or somehow, some way they're awkward, and they want to have relationships. But again, I'm saying it's more than that. The psychologist made it very, very kind of simple, but I think there's more to that. I don't know. What do you think, Magnus?
I like I said, like I have never heard the expression before, so
Yeah.
so I actually had to look into it, and I'm like, first I was kind of confused. I'm like, what's the question with Anthony? Like, is this what we're gonna talk about? I was thinking also more that it was, is there some kind of like disease or anything like that? So I learned something new for sure,
Yeah, me
and
too.
I find it like highly interesting, and I think like this is actually a very like a question that is built up like an onion. There's so many layers
Oh yeah.
of this, and I think that like a lot of guys feel like they're isolated from society. They don't feel like they're a part of society. But again, it comes down to this, like not all women are trying to go after you for your looks or your money or anything like that. A lot have to do with like personality. And I think that with how social media and technology works today, people are like, especially younger generations, are having a hard time
Connecting.
communicating and connecting, because you communicate like we used to like, oh, like call someone or run over and talk to them, and then that's why also like you did not talk too much trash about people, because there was like repercussions to your what you said and things like that. If you're talking bad about someone, they might show up your door and say like, what's up?
Right.
Throw your deuces up, like you might end up in a fight actually.
Right.
Now that has completely disappeared with like people are saying the most horrific things.
Warriors.
Like
right.
we're seeing like death threats with someone because they like playing sports and missed a ball or shot or whatnot, and like and threatening their kids and family.
Well, these are types of incels, these people, it's involuntarily celibate, meaning also celibate from social connections. I would make the argument, not just sex. But these shooters, they were saying, though, they're the most, hardcore of the quote unquote incels, where there's just no friends, no affection, no nothing, and this festers and makes this evil, essentially,
But of course, because the only thing that you surround yourself with is either yourself and your thoughts, and then you start to, like you said, like using social media or things like that, finding like groups or things like that, when you're mad at society, you're mad at everybody around you. You don't like you can't connect and explain for why you're upset.
You're in an echo chamber. You're not talking to somebody who has a different point of view. You're talking to the echo chamber who thinks like you, which is bad. That's dangerous. Yeah.
Yes. No. That's why you see a lot of these like loners. It says that, oh, he was a like nice neighbor and just kept to himself. Yeah, but you don't know what goes on inside his head, or he or she, I should say. But usually it's more men.
Usually men.
And but that's the thing though. Also, like we also like men are way more like, we're worse at like social interaction than females over like when we're talking broadly.
That's why you don't see women shooting places up.
And this has gone through history too, like when you're out hunting, you might be like, you spread out, you're hunting together, but you're still by yourself and things like that. While the women were like stayed at home and
right.
Like, I'm not saying
men
that's
better at communicating
whole society and his history, but anyway, like I'm not trying to be sexist or anything like that.
No.
But like I think it's sad that people like that people can't come out and actually like make friends and build relationships and feel part of something, Yeah. And I think like, for instance, that's one thing when you're seeing like, for instance, why CrossFit is for like a successful gym, because it becomes more, you're not training by yourself, you're training with a group of people and they're pushing you along, and it becomes a friendship and things like that. And you see that more like in other groups, that you're so happy to be a part of something.
Yeah, you have to. And then that's a good antidote for being an incel, is to get out, though. Don't be in a chat room, but get up, get out, go to a bar, a cafe, join your church, join your gym, join something, going back to the other topic, charity. Make it more about not just you, but more than just you. If you give of yourself, somehow, some way, people need you, folks. You'll feel better about yourself. It goes back to the first topic, the charity thing. But yeah, you get caught up in your own thoughts and me. I'm ugly. I'm bad. All right.
Anthony, like there's been a red line throughout our conversation today. We start looking it back because all the previous three things, and we put it together into this fourth question. It's like disadvantage, advantage, right? Yeah, it's a disadvantage that you don't feel like you're part of something, but you can actually do something about it and go out. Like what's the good man, good person? It's like go out, and it's like no one is perfect to start out with. Yes, certain people have way easier to socially interact, but it's again, this is something that you have to train. Like if you're bad at it, then you probably need more exposure and more training to be able to do it, and not like, oh, this didn't work. Yeah, but you did it once. It's the same thing. If I'm trying to cook souffle, which is one of the hardest things to cook, if I give up after no, this didn't work,
right. You have to do more than 10 times. I mean,
yeah, and maybe you need to do it 100 times, 500 times, whatever. But if you're trying to go out and every single day starting a conversation, and it's like it will become less and less awkward.
But it's we live in a day and age where it's just easier to sit home and be on the computer, and it's a true epidemic. That's another epidemic that's underlying the gun epidemic. Yeah. It's the mental health, the incels, and et cetera. But anyway, so yeah, it's I don't know what the
No, but it's like go out, find groups, find interest or interested in something like maybe it's playing role-playing games that you can do also like online, but you're talking to other people. You actually you can be another person. So whatever you're saying is, it was my character that did it or whatnot. It's like you're building your own movie, and the person could be a jackass or like a super cool dude or both. I mean, it's like find something to do. And don't be afraid of failing. It's the same thing as the learning experience. Like, okay, that didn't work as well. Okay, what should I do? And it's the same thing. Not to sound like I'm not taking this seriously, but there's actually coaches out there that can help you how to socialize and become better too. But it's hard. Maybe psychologists or things like that could actually break the ice and make me feel more comfortable and get out,
I agree. And I think the challenge is that what about those people who don't want to do any of what you just said? I think it's incumbent upon their parents or their friends or their community to be like, hey, man, we haven't seen you in a while. You're coming out. Come out with me. We're going to go for a coffee or something. Because sometimes people get so deep into the darkness, they're not going to change. They need an outside force to. Again, you can't change anybody, but maybe to check up on those people. Hey, man, I haven't heard from you in a couple of weeks. Let's go out. But anyways, because it is our problem whether we like it or not. It's easy to say, oh, they're the bad person. They are the bad person. But unfortunately, these people live among us. And so we have, I think, some type of a level of responsibility to check in on our family or friends. Hey, man, you're okay? Because, I think we have a responsibility on some level. I'm not saying we're guilty of these horrific things. But again, it's not in a vacuum, So anyways, okay. Anything else, Magnus, before we sign off?
No, I mean, it's to be honest, when I got these questions and started looking into it, I'm like, I don't know what to say, but I think that I was able to come up with somewhat of an opinion.
Yeah, no, I mean, look,
I find it very interesting of all the topics that you bring up, and it's like it makes me. But it really, really makes me, I have to think a lot about these things. And the interesting part is I also think a lot about it after, this is something that can stick with me for several days or weeks, sometimes. So
me too.
I hope this is that kind of effect that other people that are listening into us too. And again, like we want your feedback. We want to hear from you. We want to know more about you, what you want to hear about, what you find interesting, what topics you find interesting, and please share, comment, but it's like we love to be able to reach out to more people.
100%. We are actually, our viewerships are going up, our subscriptions are going up, so we're kicking butt and taking names. But yeah, that's it, folks. So hey, everybody, thanks for checking in. Wellness Week, got a bunch of other great shows as always coming up. Magnus, thank you. You got a little tank going on.
Always a pleasure.
That's absolutely, man. Say hello to the missus. Say hello to the baby, the furry babies, the doggies.
Oh, no, this is a quick story I have to tell you before we jump up. So my dog, like Rocco, he actually escaped out of the house. Like, unfortunately, I had the garage door open, and I was out in our garage fixing a couple of things, and I had the door in between the house and the garage open. And of course, he never runs out. Of course, he did this time. Run straight out and try to pick a fight. It's like, so this dog is a 10-pound Yorkie. He's under 10 pounds, and he wants to pick a fight with a Ridgeback.
Oh.
So
the Rhodesian Ridgebacks, yeah.
Yes. So he basically the Ridgeback grabbed him by his neck and kind of like made him like completely like doing a wrestling move and slam dunked in on the floor. Aww. And luckily I was out in like 2 seconds, and I know how to kind of break up a dog fight. So I broke it up, and Rocco shot straight back into the house, like crying. And both kind of emotionally and a little bit physically. No, he ended up having a slight cut on his shoulder. Wow. and a little bit on up on his neck and his scuff, but it was like nothing bad. I didn't even notice it. So he's been we've been doing a little bit of recovery drills now, like actually touching around the neck, because he was like super afraid. So So anyway, the story about that, like, you can go way further with being friendly than trying to pick a fight, especially when you're trying to pick a fight of someone that is like 5 times your size. So remember that, people.
Don't mess. Yeah, for sure, dude. Awesome, man. Oh, I hope he heals up. I'm sure he will. He's got good care for you and your wife. Awesome, bro. Okay, everyone, we're signing off. So 5,